Satnam Ji. My name is Rajinder Singh, and welcome to another show of Ekconscious Living. It's the show where we get people who are inspirational. They can give us some information about how to live our lives in a way where, hey, maybe we didn't know before. You know what the scene is I do every week. I always get the person to introduce themselves. Well, today we really do have an amazing business guru. His name is Ron Holland. But Ron, please introduce yourself.
Okay,
and, tell our
my pleasure to be here. My name is Ron G Holland, and I've been a motivational speaker for a long time now, and I'm the author of 18 business books, and looking forward to talking to you this evening.
Brilliant.
My pleasure to be here.
No, thank you so much for being here. Now, Sangaji, the reason I thought of bringing Ron, and it's such a pleasure to have him, is this week, there's, the news, it's all about the economy crumbling. Things are really going from bad to worse. I'm sure you listen to the news and know what's happening. Okay, that's all well and good. Everything's going bad. But, hey, if we're supposed to be if we're supposed to be doing something to helping ourselves, then isn't it right to have somebody who knows what they're doing in this particular area? So that's why it's such an honor, really, to have Ron here. Ron, I think, look, I'm going to show you this, Sangaji, okay? All right, so, these are magazines which we all know. As just to give you an idea, if you can see that, you see, these are magazines which have put Ron at the forefront. I've got other ones here, Success. What I'm showing you basically is what Ron's been doing, for 40 years?
Yes,
is it, Ron?
long time, yeah. My first book came out 1997. I think that's 33 or 34 years ago. It's a long time. 77.
I was about to say, yes, okay. Yeah, no, my maths isn't that bad, okay.
77.
It's 1977, okay. So, wow. So I think in those days, there wasn't much books around in this topic?
Not really, no. And I only came to write a book about getting out of debt because I'd been in massive financial problems myself.
You need to have to be in it to understand
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. Yes. And I was very fortunate. At the age of 20, I set up my first business, a motorcycle shop in South London.
Okay.
And it was the kind of booming time in motorcycles, and I just flourished, and it just expanded. I ended up with the biggest chain of motorcycle shops in South London. Wow. Accidentally picked up 2 furniture shops and a 40-bedroom hotel on the way.
As one does.
Yes. But then, because of the rapid expansion and stupidity and everything else, yes, I got into massive financial trouble.
All right.
And fortuitously for me, I met an old Irishman, a very astute guy, and he could tell I was in trouble, and he said, I can help you turn this around.
Okay.
I thought, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And he was quite a lot older than me. I was still a young man.
Yes.
With his help, Seamus O'Rourke, an old Irishman. Yeah. With his help, we turned these 7 shops around, everything, and we started making a lot of money. But what was interesting, what he taught me, I thought that was just so exciting, I wrote a book about it. And it was this little book here, if I can show it to you.
Yes, of course.
That Get Out of Debt and Into the Money. And okay, I sold it in a magazine called Exchange and Mark with full-page adverts.
I know this.
And I
think every desk looks at Exchange and Mark.
It just took off. It took off.
Okay.
And sold thousands and thousands of copies, and I got the bug and the passion for writing.
Okay.
And that's how, I've obviously been a writer now for a long, long time, written 18 business books, and helping people with business and mind power.
So, Rob, my question, because this is something I think a lot of people get stuck on.
Yep.
It's, first of all, hey, they say, look, I'm working all the hours that God gives me. I just can't get out of debt. What is it,
Yep.
What is the difference between somebody who says, okay, I can get you out of debt?
Yep.
What is the basic principle that people perhaps are doing wrong, even our country?
It's a very interesting point, because there are a number of principles, and I always think, and obviously as a kind of a business guru, I've got that clarity of thought, and I impart that clarity of thought to other people. Okay. So first thing I say, look, there's 2 different types of debt: business debt and consumer debt. Now, obviously, if you've got business debt, you've got to make your business work harder to pay off the debts, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But if it's consumer debt, we're really inferring that you've got a job or you're unemployed and have built up credit card debts or something like that. So it's 2 totally different types of debt. So if you've got consumer debt and you're in employment, you've only got a fixed salary every month or every week to pay pay those debts off.
Which a lot of people are in at the moment.
Absolutely.
That's if they're lucky enough to have a job at the moment.
Absolutely.
Because,
yeah. So really and truly, you've got to find a way of very carefully and slowly paying those creditors back.
Yes.
And if you've just got a fixed salary or income, find a job or an extra business or something to increase your disposable income. So that is a real key. Okay. If you've got business debt, you've got to go about it very, very differently. You've got to slash the overheads, increase the profit margins, do some cost-effective marketing, and really and truly turn your business around. And obviously all of those principles are in there in a great bit of detail.
All right.
But the real kind of secret, and when I wrote that book in the first place, I didn't really understand what the secret was. But the real secret was, when I had all those financial problems, although I had the mentor, Seamus O'Rourke, showing me what to do on the business acumen side of things, intuitively I took myself up into the hills to slow down my train of thought, meditate, start getting that clarity of thought.
Interesting. So you changed as a person?
Yeah, absolutely. And I changed my thought process and still the mind down. So it's very interesting. So when I wrote the book, I still hadn't realised that was one of the key influences on myself getting out of debt. Now, funnily enough, we just relaunched this book with a new title, Debt Free with Financial Kung Fu, but I have actually put that in there. The more you're in financial problems, whether it's consumer debt or business debt, you must start getting your mind working properly.
I suppose that's good in a sense for the Sangat out there, because, as I say, they go to Gurdwara, they meditate. So I guess that on that side, I'm assuming they're getting it. I mean, on one aspect.
Okay. Look, can we just talk about that?
Yes, absolutely.
Because I do believe, and don't forget, I talk to people about meditation and alpha and slowing the brainwaves down. I'm talking about that with people every day of the week.
Okay.
And it is one of the easiest things in the world to talk about. You can even write books about it.
I don't think it's so easy to do.
And that's where I was going.
I know,
but to actually do it and make a difference, and one of the things that I recommend for under £100, you can get a little biofeedback machine that you connect up to your fingers and check the galvanic skin response, and ever so quickly you'll see whether you're going into alpha or not. And people, when they connect it up to me, I can go there ever so quickly, and they go, wow, but it's taken me a long time to do that.
Ron, I was actually playing with you there, because I do, because as coming from the yoga scene as well,
absolutely.
I do know the aspects, but I wanted to see your reaction.
No, so
good.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting. And all I'm saying is, I really do teach and train and write about showing people how to do it properly. And I'm saying, even if you find it difficult, go through the motions. And go for walks in the countryside, get time alone.
So get out of that.
Get out of the environment where you've got the phone, the bailiffs, people driving you mad, and still slow down your thought process.
So Mr. A, he's going through these, let's just say, for example, on a business side, because I know there's a lot of business people who look, and they are going through troubles at the moment.
Absolutely,
So, the bailiffs are there, whatever. So just go for your normal walk, just get out of that frame of mind. Okay, what would they do next?
Well, if you're really getting into that frame of mind and really stopping the internal dialogue, you will start becoming more creative, right? Without a doubt. And funnily enough, looking at that book there, the Eureka Enigma, what happens when you slow down the thought process, the brain starts operating like a computer. And the two hemispheres, you've got a right brain and a left brain, once you've slowed down the internal dialogue, the two brains automatically then start communicating with each other. And that's when you come up with what I call eurekas or solutions.
Oh, right, it's interesting. Now, you may have some more information about this, but my understanding is that on the whole, there's a difference between somebody who tends to use their right brain more than somebody who uses their left brain. Now, left brain, I believe Sangat Ji, now Ron hopefully deals more with the logical side of the brain. Is that
very
correct?
Much so. Now, logic, words, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And the right side more with the colourful,
and the pictures,
and the creative side.
Absolutely,
So, is it more ideal to be working on the right side of the brain?
The real truth is you want to be a whole brain thinker with words and pictures, and they're two separate hemispheres. Most people don't know it. They're two separate hemispheres in your brain connected by a little band of nerve fibres called the corpus callosum. Other than that, they're completely separate, and they operate and think and process information in totally different ways. And really and truly, to be a whole brain thinker, you need to be thinking very clearly and articulately in words, but also start visualising what you're trying to accomplish.
How would somebody do that?
Well, let me give you an example that made a huge amount of money for me, and it was in real life. And in here, when I was in this massive, I had these 7 motorcycle shops, I was massively in debt, and really and truly, I nearly ended up with 7 empty motorcycle showrooms. And I'd nearly gone bankrupt. All the stock had been sold, and obviously if I didn't get some more motorcycles in the sale, I would have gone bankrupt. So I tried to get money from the banks, I tried to get money from venture capital, private partners, and nobody would give me any money. It was hopeless. And I stilled my mind, I really did, down, and I thought, what do I really want? And a little voice said, well, what you really want is motorcycles. You don't really need money to buy motorcycles. What you need is motorcycles. If you had hundreds of motorcycles, you could fly. You could make a lot of money. So I thought, if I need motorcycles, what I'll do, I'll visualize, and this was kind of intuitive. I didn't really understand the principles like I do now, 30 years on. So intuitively, I visualized these 7 motorcycle shops that were empty, but I visualized hundreds and hundreds of motorcycles. And in actual fact, the shops, they all had big double closing doors. I visualized we had so many motorcycles, we couldn't close the doors. What a silly thing to do, right? And I visualized this for about 3 days, in the morning, in the evening, hundreds and hundreds of motorcycles. I didn't even question my mind where they could come from. I just
they were just there.
They were there, hundreds of them, and the doors wouldn't close. On the 3rd day, I didn't know this would happen, a little voice said, you don't need the banks. What? Where did that come from? You don't need money. Go out and buy the motorcycle papers. And at that time, there was 3 motorcycle papers, Motorcycle News, Motorcycle, and another one that I can't remember. And it says, the voice in my head, the Eureka said, open them up, read the classified adverts, people selling motorcycles, phone up those people. Hello, have you still got that motorcycle for sale? You have. Bring it into one of my showrooms. I've got 7 showrooms. I've got finance facilities. I've got salesmen. I've got mechanics. We'll polish it up. We'll get it sold for you. As soon as I've sold the bike, you come along and pick your money up, and I'll keep a commission. Pick the phone up again. Hello, have you got your motorcycle for sale? And I just did this, hundreds and hundreds of phone calls. I thought it was such a good idea. Do you know what happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. And I thought, what a disaster. I made all of these phone calls and nothing happened. And I thought, well, that's funny. I thought that was a real eureka. I thought that was a brilliant idea. Anyway, what happened on the Saturday, this massive, great Hell's Angel came into my motorcycle. He said, I'm looking for Ron Holland. He was a great guy. And I thought, what have I done? I said, well, what do you want him for? He said, he's going to sell my motorcycle for me. I said, oh, that's me.
It's probably a Harley Davidson.
It was whatever it was. I said, leave it over there. We gave him a receipt. 10 minutes later, another bike turned up. Now, I'm not saying I filled these 7 shops up in the same day, but over the course of 3 or 4 months, I filled those motorcycle showrooms just by making phone calls. And I made a fortune out of it, because unlike other motorcycle dealers who had to put their hand in their pocket and buy machines, all I had to do was make phone calls. And do you know, sorry to butt in, the vision was, I had so many motorcycles we couldn't close the doors. We had to build extensions and shelving to put all of these motorcycles in. It was incredible. That was my experience of a real eureka that turned into money.
See, Ron, this is what I found fascinating. And so the reason I find this so important and interesting is that we're not really talking about making money here. We're talking about keeping ourselves out of debt.
Absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
And also, I think it's the solution, you know, so it's being creative. I think what's amazing is that it worked for you. I have heard this aspect of visualization.
Absolutely crucial.
But it never 100% made sense to me. It's like, okay, for example, they say, oh, visualize something. It's like, okay, I'll visualize it. Then
Yeah.
what? What will happen suddenly? You
Well,
know?
what will happen is you will come up with ideas. And the more you can visualize in detail certain things happening, you will come up with ideas and solutions and
Is
creativity.
it both the left side and the right side brain working together?
Absolutely. And at the same time you're visualizing things. Now I know if you put the words in as well,
Yeah.
this is what I'm trying to accomplish, and then visualize it.
Wow.
Powerful.
Would you say in our school system, just going off topic slightly, but
Sure.
I think it is crucial
Yep.
in the sense where how we're taught to think.
Okay.
I feel that when I was growing up,
Yep.
this kind of information wasn't
Available. Absolutely.
definitely was not taught to
Yep,
me.
yep.
I mean, I was taught about 3 guys going up 2 steps, 1 down step,
Yep.
jumping along, and what's the equation of
Sure,
that?
sure.
Which can be very useful.
Yep.
I have not found a use for it yet,
No,
but you know.
but I'm sure there is a use.
Yes, you know.
When you find it out, let me know.
I will let
'cause
you know.
They
Ron.
took me through that exercise.
Yeah. But I'm assuming that's
Yeah.
using more my logical side of the brain.
Can I share with you what I call some profound insights into the educational system and understanding? Because obviously
Yeah.
I've really delved into this for over 30 years now.
Of course, yes.
So let's just go back. I'm probably a bit older than you.
Probably not that much.
That's very polite of it. But I'm 62, so and obviously I left school at the age of 14. So as a young man, I distinctly remember how the teaching process was, and to all intents and purposes, it was an auditory process. And I mean by that, the school teacher used to get out of the front of the class, blah, 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 yada, 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 blah, words. That's how it was. And because it was an auditory process and reading books with no pictures in, everything was words and made the school teachers and the children left brain dominant. There was no other, because there was no visual input or no visual stimulus at all.
Yeah.
Very heavily left brained. And the university's the same. For years and years, well, hundreds of years, the educational process is an auditory process.
Yes.
So we've come through decades of children being heavily left brained and the teachers heavily left brained. Now, what has happened these days is the teachers are still, and I'm not saying all of them because there will be some of them watching here, they'll be up in arms, but to all intents and purposes, a lot of people haven't clicked what is happening now. Mm-hmm. Teachers still heavily left-brained, yada, yada, da, da, da. But kids on their own, everything they're doing, and I do mean everything, is visual. So they're seeing visual stuff on their mobile phones. Everything is pictures.
The games,
tiny,
PSPs.
Everything. Games, everything you can think of. Tiny, tiny bit of it, verbal or auditory.
Okay.
So the kids these days are heavily now right-brained.
Interesting.
Really fascinating, because they're too right-brained. We were too left-brained. And my job is, if you like, that it won't do them any good until they get a balance of the words and the pictures. Okay. And it really is for people like me to articulate that message and say, gosh, don't you see what's happening? Because I showed a kid the other day a book, and I was fascinated. He picked it up and he just looked through it. He said, do you know what? He says, I can't read that. And I thought, how do you know so quickly? He says, there's not a single picture in there. He said, that wouldn't make any sense to me. I couldn't read that from cover to cover. And he's absolutely right, because if you think about it these days, books for kids, you've got to have 50% pictures, 50% words. You've got to have the pictures in there. They're not going to read a load of text, because that's not the way they think these days. It's all visual. Is that interesting?
It's slightly worrying, but
not really, because if we talk about these things and air them, people will pick it up. They go, wow, I want something better for my kids. I want them to be whole brain thinkers. I want them to understand pictures and words.
It's fascinating. So, Ron, what do you do then to relax? And I say that because, looking at your amazing books, you're going at 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
But in a way that you're not burning yourself out, you're doing it in a proper way. So what do you do to relax?
Now,
what's the other side?
No, well, it's a very interesting. Are you asking me a personal question there, or advising other people? Because are you saying what do I do to relax?
Yes.
Because that's an interesting thing, and you're talking about going at 100 mile an hour. My passion is speed, so I'm building a motorcycle that I'm hoping is going to do 400 miles an hour.
I just picked this up. Is to say there was something about speed?
No, absolutely,
yes.
absolutely. So my passion has always been, even since I was 11 years old, motorcycles, fast cars, all of that. And I have a workshop now. We're building a very, very fast motorcycle.
Really?
But but I do all the other things: swimming and walking in the country, time alone, meditation every day. Meditation.
What sort of meditation do you do?
I don't know the name of it. And funnily enough, people say, well, how do you meditate? What I do, and I really do, I have a lovely blind, I put these Malibu earplugs in my ears, and I go into alpha ever so quickly. And every morning and every evening, and it could be 5 or 7 minutes up to 40 minutes. But I really do completely stop that internal dialogue, and that it's taken me a long time to be able to do that. But no mind, and the Japanese have a word for that, satori, which means no mind, and it is the most powerful state you can get into.
Is it when you just literally at zero?
Zero, absolutely, zero.
Yes.
And a lot of people, they've got that internal dialogue, and don't forget, when I had all my debt problems 30, 40 years ago, I had that internal dialogue.
The inner chatter.
Inner chatter,
yes.
The just drive you mad all the time, worry. But now I really can still that down. And don't forget, I need to, because when I take on a client's problems, he expects, or she expects, solutions. They don't expect to go to a guru and pay him a big load of money and then not come back with a result.
Have you ever come across a case where somebody said, look, I'm in financial debt, whatever their business is, and they come to you, and do you think, okay, I know the solution already, or do you literally just sit down and say, let me work this out with them? What are you doing right that they're perhaps doing?
It's a very interesting thing. I always tell my clients, whether they're in a debt situation, and don't forget I raise millions for companies as well, and I say, I want to make it very clear that I'm going to undertake raising you 5 million, 10 million, 7 million, whatever it is. But I want to make very clear, right now, at this moment in time, I do not know where that money is. So I want you to know that the minute you walk out the door, you think I can just pick up the phone and line you up that money. That is not the case. We've got to work hard together, put some documentation together, put together a business plan.
So you don't know yourself when they come, but you just have
wouldn't it be incredible? Yeah. We have to work.
Yes.
Now, sometimes I've introduced investors, the very first investor has put in £1 million, and I've gone, oh wow, thank you. But it's not always like that. More often than not, you've got to knock on, it's a joke really, but you've got to knock on 87 doors before you get the money. Wow. But every now and then, it's persistence. And obviously, if you're quite clever with it, as you're knocking on those 87 doors, you're not going in there with the same business plan, you're making it better, you're taking on board the feedback, you're making it better and better. But you get that.
That's fascinating.
And I learned that from an old stockbroker in the city. He says, people think that I just sit around here all day and the money comes in. He says, I just make phone call after phone call after phone call till I get the yeses. And he says, you'd do well to take that on board.
That's very interesting. Because we hear that so many times in so many areas. It's like the number of times you actually knock on doors.
No, absolutely. And I still find that's true today. Wow. It really is. There's no kind of silver bullet. You've got to work hard.
That is it, basically. I think that's it in that aspect.
Yeah.
Your interaction of Sikhs, Ron.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, because we're on the Sikh channel.
No. Well, I work with a fantastic guy called Jatinder Palahar, and he's a Sikh. And I'll tell you how I got involved with him, because it's kind of interesting. At the moment, as you probably know, I've got a massive presence on the internet, right?
Yes, you are.
I own wealth.co.uk. That's right on the front page of Google, between the Financial Times, Barclays Bank, but I'm right up to the top of there. All billion-dollar companies and Ron Holland. I have to say I love it. Right? Yeah. And I've got other sites, and we're selling books every day. But before Jatinder came along, I used to give these internet marketing guys 1,000 quid, 3,000 quid, 700 quid, 7,500.
They charge a lot.
But nothing happened, and it came home to me, because this guy came up to me one day. He says, I don't know. He says, you've got all these books. You call yourself top business guru. He says, I've got something to tell you. I said, well, what's that? He says, you're not on the internet. I said, how can that be? I've paid all of these guys.
Yeah.
And he says, you're not there. He says, you've got no presence on the internet.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I've got to do something to change that. So I made a few inquiries, and a friend of mine said, I want to introduce you to this guy called Jatinder over at Big Fanta.
Yeah.
So I had a meeting with him, and I just clicked with him, and I told him all of this, that, and the other. Anyway, he does tell the story. He said, I looked you up before the meeting, and he said, I couldn't find you anywhere. How embarrassingly. But anyway, we did a deal.
Because I know Jatinder is such a fab guy.
He is.
Yes.
But he said, I'll help you.
Yeah.
So he really did help me. He's created a massive presence for me, and I know that because somebody came up to me recently, not this same guy who told me I didn't have a presence, but a guy out the blue. He came up to me, he says, I want to tell you something. He says, your presence on the internet is incredible.
Wow.
He says, you're everywhere, and I really am. I'm everywhere. We've got hundreds of videos, articles, websites, they're all making money.
Took a seat to get
no, absolutely. So I take my turban off to Jatinder. He's a diamond, absolute diamond. Yeah. And I do as much as I can to promote Big Fanta because he's sitting on something there that he performs. He performs. Yes. He doesn't talk a lot. He just gets on and does it.
I think, Ron, and I think that, I mean, I'm talking about Jatinder, but even people like yourself, in terms of it's the actions that you do. I think a lot of people, they talk so much in terms of, okay, I'm a chat show host, so you can forgive me on this one, but I'm talking about, they talk about, it's like, okay, let's just see what are the results, what can we do, And
you're trying to push my hot buttons now because unfortunately I meet so many people who can talk, but they can't walk the walk.
Yes.
And this was a typical example of me trying to get some web presence. Yes. Nobody could do it. Jatinder does it, and he hardly talks. He just gets on with it.
He just does the job.
And the other sad thing about it is I find a lot of people out there today just talk gobbledygook. They just talk rubbish, and you think that this isn't making sense. Yeah. They're just rambling on, And it's really nice to see people like Jatinder who are considerate, he's articulate, he listens very carefully and then goes and does it. And he outperforms every time, he just does it.
Yeah, no, that's true. Is there a type of individual that you look at when they come to you or when you do your seminars? Now, I know, Sangaji, I'm just giving an example. You hold many workshops, I think, all over.
For 30 years, I think. Yeah.
And, they range in price. Some go into a lot of money. But the reason...
Not all of them.
No. The only reason I'm saying that, Ron, is because at the end of the day, you are obviously performing, on that side. Because it's important for people to have the tools.
Yeah, very much so.
It's like... and this is a kind of skill or a tool that it's not readily visible.
Yep.
Like people say, for example, I do martial arts, so I do this. And you go, what do you do? Or even I do meditation, But this is a skill which I think everyone needs to have.
Yes.
And it's not about suddenly being, I know how to make money. I really think it's not the aspect of making money, it's making sure you're not getting into debt. And I think to know how to play the game.
Yeah, very much so.
In a positive way. You live in an environment where not internal, that worry side goes out.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I find a lot of people out of control because they're living beyond their means. And funnily enough, the new book, it's called Debt Free with Financial Kung Fu. It does talk about living within your means, generating money, not just spending money, becoming creative to make money and make a good living for yourself. And it is a discipline, very, very much so. The same as the mind power side of it is a discipline.
I like the aspect that you use the mind power side in it. Now, I do know as well, so you can verify this, because I don't know so much if you've heard of NLP. It's something very big. I think a lot of companies are using this now, especially in business and in personal. You may have heard of American... is it Anthony Robbins? He talks about NLP. So this is something very big now. But you've got something which is a first.
Oh, absolutely.
Over here.
Yeah.
Was it yourself who combined the aspect of NLP and business?
Yeah, very much so. Together. That was the first book, if I can show it to you. It's kind of interesting. So after I had the big success with Get Out of Debt, that was 1979, I decided to sell out the motorcycle shops and become a full-time writer and live in America with the idea of writing Talk and Grow Rich.
Okay.
So I was living in Beverly Hills.
It's a very nice place.
It was a lovely... And I was writing Talk and Grow Rich. And I palled up with an American guy, and I give him full credit. His name was Greg Turner. Tirana, and he was a lovely guy. And we used to drink hot chocolate and have these little baklavas, hot chocolate and baklava. And we were talking. He said, look, he says, you're writing a book called Talk and Grow Rich. He says, you need to check out this technology out of California called NLP. And I said, well, funny you should mention that, because I have checked it out. I did have a look at it.
This is in the 80s?
1979, yeah.
So this was very...
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
So I said, no. I said, I'm writing book about selling and making money, NLP, and I hadn't really checked it out, but I told him I had. I said, I had looked at it. I said, that's all about drug abuse, hypnosis, weight loss, nicotine addiction. He said, look, check it out. Anyway, I ignored him. 3 weeks later, we met again. Hot chocolate and baklava. He said, have you checked out that NLP? I said, no. I said, I've already told you. I'm writing a book called Talk and Grow Rich, which is about making money and business. He said, you want to check it out? Okay. Third time around, hot chocolate baklava. Have you checked out that NLP?
Was he using these techniques on you?
No, I don't know. But I thought, I went out and bought all the NLP books at that time. Yeah. And I devoured them. And I thought, wow, this is powerful technology. And I put it in the book. Now, funnily enough, I put all the acknowledgements in the bibliography and everything, which you would do if so. I gave them tremendous recognition for that. But that Talk and Grow Rich wasn't one of the first books. It was the first book to incorporate NLP into a business and sales book.
Amazing.
Now, 7 years later,
this was when 17.
It came out in 81, and about 6 or 7 years later, Tony Robbins brought out his book, but I'd already done it.
Wow.
And don't get me wrong, I take my hat off to him, because he marketed it and everything, and I didn't really market it, but I had it in there.
No, but it's a nice accolade to have.
Absolutely.
And, that 81, 91, so this is 30 years ago?
Over 30 years ago. Now I'd like to think I've moved way beyond that, and obviously my latest book, The Eureka Enigma, is really powerful technology. Can I tell you the story of how
Yes, you can. I'll just share it to us.
I love it.
Well. Yes.
We've got about 55-star testimonials on Amazon for that. People love it, and a few one-star testimonials. One guy, he said, this is the worst book I've ever read. Not only that, he said, all of those other people who've put 5-star testimonials up there, they're idiots as well. And I thought that was lovely. But can I tell you how the title of this came about?
Yes.
My motorcycle racing factory is right up next door to where they did the code breaking for the Second World War, Bletchley Park.
Oh,
you know Bletchley Park?
Yes,
where the first computer in the world, it's called the Colossus computer. Right, the Colossus. It's as big as this room, but it was the first computer in the world. During the Second World War, they built to crack the German codes.
Yes.
So
amazing.
That's it. So my motorcycle racing factory is next door to Bletchley Park.
Wow.
So one day my mechanics never turned up, and I thought, well, never mind. I'll go into Bletchley Park and have a look around. And fortuitously for me, I met an old guy there, and sadly enough, Tony Sale, he died recently, but he was the top guy, and he had just spent 14 years rebuilding the Colossus computer, and he'd actually got it working and cracking Second World War code. They got a university in Germany to send over the code, and the Colossus computer was cracking
original.
It. Yeah. It's obviously they had to get bits and everything, but it's still
working.
Oh, absolutely, it's incredible. It's all there now, and funnily enough, I told him, I said, my interest is not in computers, and I know this is the first computer in the world. My interest is in biocomputers, right? So I said, will you tell me how the Colossus computer cracks code? So I couldn't stop him talking for 3 hours, because he spent 14 years rebuilding it. And I was making notes. Then he told me all about the Enigma machine. So when he was talking, I thought, wow, the Eureka Enigma, and I talk about the brain either being in Enigma mode, which is where it just talks gobbledygook, no ideas, no solutions, whatever. So you're either in Enigma mode or Colossus mode. And Colossus mode is the biggest computer in the world, obviously, at that time, solving problems and all of that. So that's a lovely analogy, and that's why it's called the Eureka Enigma.
That's beautiful. We have a subconscious brain and a conscious brain. Or am I getting this wrong?
No, I think you're absolutely right.
Yes.
And we don't really want to play around with semantics, but what you've got is 100 billion cells in there, and some of them work when you're conscious and some of them work when you're unconscious.
Obviously, I mean, bits by bit. The reason I say is, I've heard this, now, again, I'm talking from many years ago, where they call the subconscious brain like the prehistoric brain.
Yep.
It's it's the brain which they say it's like the giant of the brain.
Yep, I agree with that. Yep, very much so.
We hardly use or tap into it.
Yeah.
That's probably a better word.
Yeah. And my job is to teach people how to tap into it.
Okay.
And you tap into it by deliberately setting goals and then trying to visualize those goals.
So do these work, Ron? I tell you why.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The reason,
very much so.
I think on the aspect of, I think we always say, okay, write down your goals.
Yep.
Okay, visualize them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is the basic thing that perhaps people are failing? And I say that in a sense where they go, hey, I've done all that. I visualised £1 million over my door by Friday. I know that's being silly, but,
But it's a very interesting thing, and we talk about the £1 million goal in this book.
Yeah.
And really and truly, it's no good just visualising £1 million in a suitcase, because the brain works like a computer. What it wants to know is how you're going to get there, what kind of business you're going to run, what kind of products you're going to sell, how much profit margin have they got in them, the whole thing. And Alan Turing, who was working at Bletchley Park, he talks about algorithms and how they work, and indeed your brain works in a certain way. You've really got to keep breaking down those components until they can't be broken down anymore. Okay. And that's why the book is dedicated to Alan Turing, because he cracked the codes at Bletchley Park, but he also knew huge amounts about the human biocomputer, and people don't realise what a genius he is. And he's only this week is he beginning to be recognised for it. Literally this week.
Wow.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I mean, I think what's coming to me is basically this is for, obviously, most of us need to get out of the financial thing. Say somebody goes, hey, I just want to become even more spiritual.
Yeah.
Could they use these techniques?
I do believe so, and I do believe stilling the brain power and tapping into it is the real essence of where you want to be going to. Very much so.
Yeah.
And I can't say I've had many spiritual experiences, but I've had a few. I really have. And it has always been when I've gone down and down and down, and just absolutely incredible things happen. But I can't say I can repeat that at will because I can't.
Yeah, no, it's good that you're being so honest in a sense, because you're just saying it as it is.
No, absolutely.
That's it.
You're
not saying, I think I had. No,
I've definitely had that. Yeah. Can I tell you about an interesting with a guy who I met and a guy called Sri Gurji Pillau. I don't know if you've heard of a personal development guy called Wayne Dyer.
No.
Wayne Dyer is one of my favourite guys. I think he's terrific. And obviously, as a business guru, I always buy everybody else's material to see whether I'm ahead of the game, behind the game.
That's good. So you sort of know what's happening.
Absolutely.
And you're always probably just reading up.
Listening to tapes, reading up. And I got hold of this audio pack by Wayne Dyer called Manifest Your Own Destiny. And he talks about this Indian guru who he met, who taught him this meditation, like and it's a manifestation meditation. And I thought, wow, I'd like to meet that guy, Sri Gurji Pillau. I'd like to have him as my guru. I think I could learn a huge amount from him. So I didn't go on the Google or write him a letter or anything. I just put it out in the ether that I would meet this guy. I just gently put it out, and I knew I would meet him. So although I live in London, one day I was over in Brussels doing some mentoring for a guy, and I was staying at a friend's house, and the phone went, and Gisela said, oh, it's for you. So I picked up the phone. There's a guy called Frederick. He said, hello, Ron. I understand you're over here at the moment. You're staying at Gisela's. What are you doing this afternoon? And I said, well, why do you want to know? He said, well, if you're doing nothing, he said, would you like to come over to my place? I've got a house guest here called Sri Gurji Pillau. And he's seen all of your books on the coffee table, and he would like an audience with you.
That's amazing.
And that's the guy that was in this audio tape. So I went over to meet Sri, and we went in, all my books were there, and we had some still water like this. We're all sitting around the table, and I had hundreds of questions, you can imagine, to ask this guy, and he was there with his white gown and everything, and I was ready to ask all my questions. But he just said to me, have you ever heard of a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill? I said, yeah. He said, well, in that book, he says, there's a formula for success. Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, he can achieve.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, he said, what do I mean by conceive? And I was going to answer him, but before I could say anything, he started talking again. He said, by conceive, I mean creating mental images of what you're trying to happen. And he says, if you can conceive of something you're trying to make happen, very quickly, you'll believe it, because you can see it so clearly. If you've conceived it and then believed it, you'll achieve it just like that. And he said, Ron, it's my job and your job to go out into the world and tell people this, because most people are starting at the wrong end of the formula. Instead of conceive, believe, achieve, they're trying to achieve things. First, they're trying to achieve money, houses, cars, and they're getting ever so frustrated into the process because they're not making it happen. Please, go out into the world, the same as what I'm doing. Talk to people about conceiving first, then believing, then achieving. And indeed, that's part of my message, but I do it in a very articulate way, showing people really how to conceive, really how to believe, and then the conceiving is going to happen. And it is, and I've got phenomenal results, to do that.
No. I mean, as you say, like here, I've got so many questions, but what's really nice is I think it's having that step formula, because, you know, even if you read just, you know, the Sunday Times or any paper, it's like, okay, great, you should do this, you should do that. Yep. They're just quick, but you go over and you go, okay, what can you actually learn? You know, it's nice that you're putting a step-by-step formula into this whole thing, you know.
No, very much so. Yeah. And I do believe it's being able to articulate both sides of the formula. The business acumen, obviously you've got to have low overheads, massive profit margins, cost-effective marketing and all of that. So you've got to articulate the business side of it, but you really, to make it work, you've got to articulate the mind power side of it, slow down the train of thought, get into the alpha mode, come up with solutions, come up with eurekas, and that's what makes my brand of philosophy so important and so exciting. I like it as well, and I like writing about it, and I like doing it both for myself and for my clients.
What's nice, Ron, is, and I'm looking at this from another angle,
okay?
We've been talking about this, and I find it fascinating, but from another angle, what I've been looking at, and I think it's really nice, is the fun that you're having.
Absolutely.
That's what's coming across to me. Seriously, because, you know, there's many people, they do their work and they go, it's great, but after about 15, 20 minutes, you think, what he's saying, but what his body language and his
that's very interesting.
You know,
but I genuinely am having fun every day, and still getting into the office early and meeting people and helping other people as well accomplish their goals.
You do have something as well. You're saying was it in Slovakia or something?
Or? My main kind of day-to-day business is I'm a business mentor, but for my sins I have a dating agency as well. I don't know how you picked that up, but. And I have an office in Slovakia, in Bratislava, which is the.
I got my sources. No. I had my people check you out.
No. So this isn't an internet dating agency. This is a real dating agency, and our ethos is genuine people meeting in real time. So we put lovely ladies from both Slovakia and the Czech Republic together with really nice guys from the UK who are professional, discerning gentlemen. And it's fantastic, and it's a proper matchmaking
It's amazing how the reason I say it's just pure chance, because as I say, we just talk about it, you mentioned that. I've got a friend who I did say, definitely watch the show today, and, you know, from Slovakia, so, you know.
There you go.
Talking about the coincidence.
And again, that is a people business, and every day we're meeting guys and girls, and it is just so much fun. And they're all different. Like the businessmen I meet, they're all different. Black people, white people, Sikhs, fat people, thin people, tall people, all different. You have no idea. They're all different, and they've all got exciting projects, and it's fantastic. And they're all welcome. And I say, right, how can I help you? How can we work together? And we get creative, and I get them to get back into that creative mode. And I have to say, in a tough economic climate like that we're in now, I do believe you've got to get more more creative, less reliant on banks, more reliant on yourself. And I say to people, look, it's a tough economic climate. You've got to go deep inside here and prize out the inner man, because he's asleep. And the inner man is what? It's your subconscious mind. And it doesn't matter whether you put to your belly, your heart, your head. Your inner man is subconscious mind. And when it's a tough economic climate, you've got to get him working.
Is it harder, the situation now, for youngsters? Well, just for your Joe blogs anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it harder now than it has been in the past, or are we always going in peaks and troughs?
We're always going in peaks and troughs. I don't think you can. I've been through probably 3 major recessions in my lifetime, and things go up and things go down.
Yeah,
but any youngster today, I would say, find a way of starting your own business. And they say, what? How can we start a business? No money.
But we're always being told, find a job.
Yeah, but I don't believe that. See, I think you've got to be self-reliant. Okay. Start your own business. And can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
Because I stumbled upon this 30, 40 years ago. What did I sell, make a lot of money out? Second-hand motorcycles. Yeah. And I got them in for free. And I'm still advising people today who haven't got any money but want to make a lot of money, get into the second-hand business. Second-hand. Okay. Second-hand motorcycles, second-hand cars, second-hand furniture, second-hand stamps and coins, second-hand arts and craft. I don't care. Designer clothes, second-hand designer clothes. Second-hand, there's so much profit margin there, and there's so many sources that you can get those products from, and it's a fantastic way to cut your teeth on and get into business without too much money. And I don't believe that everybody has to make money by being an internet marketer. I really don't.
I think there are specialists on it in each
Absolutely. Yeah. The internet marketing is fantastic. If you've got that bent and understand how it works, fantastic. But you don't have to make your money by being an internet marketer.
No, it's interesting, because I think also, I think you were saying last week was the most busiest day they expect for internet shopping activity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think we're kind of being, perhaps, are we being conditioned so that everything's being bought now via the internet? If you don't
It's a huge amount being bought by the internet, and definitely things are changing every day. It's a changing environment, a changing economy, but I think there's, despite the tough economic climate and the kids out of work, they've got to start getting creative, and I'm a great believer in mastermind groups, and if 2 or 3 of these kids would get together in a spirit of harmony and start sparking off each other and brainstorming with each other, and I encourage Tinder to do that, and he's got mastermind groups, he brainstorms with us, we're always switching ideas and contacts and all of that, and it definitely works. You don't really want to be trying to do this on your own.
No. I mean, do you know, it's funny because this makes sense in terms of, we talk about the Sangat.
Yeah.
The Sangat being, you should be in a like body of people.
Okay, yeah.
Where it's spiritual, with business harmony. It makes sense because it's the Sangat, the group, that takes you forward,
so.
And you're in a group which is, thinking along the same lines. So, that fits in nicely, actually. No, thank you so much. I can't believe we're,
the I can't, it's like 5 minutes. It's an hour.
Honestly,
I've been looking forward to it all day, but I've really enjoyed being here. Can we do it again, please?
Absolutely, Ron. It's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Because, as I say, there's so much to talk about in this area. And I think it's nice where... I think one of the guys was saying 2 minutes, but it looked like you were telling me something else.
I've seen that sign before.
Yes, he did mean 2 minutes, But basically, the aspect is there's so much to learn from this, and it's not something that everybody knows about.
No, absolutely.
So thank you for coming into the Sikh channel.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And
really
giving us some kind of insight into this. Is there any sort of last words you'd like to tell the Sangat, the audience, if they go
I think there is. If you can just get that little bit of no mind every day, satori, no mind, still those thoughts down, let the brain function like it's meant to function, like a computer, and it won't function all the time you're talking, talk. Slow those thoughts down, let it come together, and they say let go and let God, and I believe that expression, or let the subconscious mind do it, or let the 2 hemispheres do it. So a little bit of no mind every day, even if it's only a few minutes going through the motions, emotions, that will make all the difference. And that's my last word. And it's what I've preached for 30 years in Talk and Grow Rich. I used to say, stop the internal dialogue and you can hear the eurekas.
Wow.
That's my final word.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think, Sangatji, there's a lot in there. You know, I hope you took even 10% of what was said today, because it's a topic which I think is relevant so much to today's society. It's very difficult for someone to explain how to play the money game or the debt game, whichever way you look at it. But it's something I think we all need to be aware of, you know, to live in today's society without having the worry. Because if we don't, then, you know, things, you know, you have to pay your mortgage, or you have the bailiffs coming around and so forth. So, no, Ron, thank you so much for coming today. And Sangatji, thank you for watching. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.